What did I tell you? She runs interference for Tory scandals. Let's go.
Dianne Abbott today, suspended from Labour pending an investigation over a letter she wrote, stating, "It is true that many types of white people with points of difference, such as redheads, can experience this prejudice, but they are not all their lives subjected to racism. In pre-civil rights America, Irish people, Jewish people and travellers were not required to sit at the back of the bus.
Yeah.
In apartheid South Africa, these groups were allowed to vote.
Obvious.
And at the height of slavery, there was no white-seeming people manacled on slave ships."
What are you saying this stuff for now? Why do you care now? Isn't your borough the one with Stoke Newington police in it? What did I tell you? She runs interference for Tory scandals. Let's go.
It was a response to an opinion piece questioning the view that racism only affects people of colour. She later apologised, saying it was only an initial draft and that letter should never have been sent, but also that there is no excuse and I wish to apologise for any anguish caused.
Hang on a second. If you're telling the truth, what are you apologising for? If you're telling the truth, it's going to ruffle feathers. What are you apologising for? Like, again, I made a video over a decade ago. I called it Dianne Abbott, Klan Activity. Klan Activity. Do you believe me now? Do you believe me? Oh, a whole decade later, do you believe me now? She's primed to divert attention away from scandals that focus on Tories. She's been doing it her whole life. I made a video 11 years ago called Dianne Abbott, Klan Activity, because I noticed that every time there was a Tory scandal, Dianne Abbott would pop up and say something stupid. Okay, do you remember after the disastrous Tory re-election campaign with John Major, where he forced the Tory party to either elect him again or go through another leadership process, and they re-elected him. Literally the day after, Dianne Abbott came out and said there are too many Scandinavian nurses in the NHS. What white Englishman is going to complain about too many Scandinavian? From that point, I knew. I was like, nah, I know what you're about. And I made a video called Dianne Abbott, Klan Activity. Now we got the Tories again in some form of disarray. We got Dominic Raab just resigned for bullying. Tories looking bad. It's the clapped out end of a Tory lineage that's stretching all the way back to David Cameron. And what does this woman do? Ginger people? Why are we talking about ginger people? Isn't your borough the one with Stoke Newington police in it? You've got enough problems fighting racism in your own borough. Were you writing this? And this takes me all the way back to that stupid race shit that she caused over a decade ago with Bim Abbott, whatever, on Twitter, right? She does this on purpose. She creates a storm and then apologizes, making anti-black racism look way down in the pecking order, and it's done intentionally. Now anti-black racism is going to be behind anti-Semitism. Give me a break. Give me a break. How many of you guys, you're not falling for this? Oh, hi, by the way, I haven't been around for a bit because I've been banned for like 3 months. I had my account banned for 3 months. But I get back and Dianne Abbott swings into action. Red-headed people. Yeah, and all she's doing is stating some obvious shit. Darling, you're the MP for Hackney. You got one of the most corrupt police stations in your borough, and you're doing this shit? Running interference again. You done prevented Jeremy Corbyn from getting elected. I said you were there to scupper Jeremy Corbyn's leadership campaign, and you performed admirably. So what's this latest shit now? Us as Caribbean people in the UK, we don't have any leadership anymore. We don't have any representatives anymore. Yeah, we don't have any representatives anymore. The Labour Party's gone full on Mossad racist. Call me like, tell me I'm lying. Yeah, the Labour Party is no place for black people anymore. It hasn't been since Keir Starmer came in. So the last hope was Jeremy Corbyn, and look how the media savaged him, and look at the amount of people that came out of the woodwork to stab him in the back. Nah, I feel sorry for the black MPs within Labour, because it's only a matter of time, they're going to start coming for you. Yeah, they're going to start coming for you on your legitimate defence of the community. Okay, and you will be made to seem like a racist, right? Dianne Abbott does it intentionally. Yeah, she's like a lightning rod. She does these things intentionally to draw attention away from other scandals onto her. I think she was promised a baronet or something like that. She was going to be a baroness or something like that as she kept Labour out, and she did that. But now it looks like they're kind of putting the kibosh on that promise with the anti-Semitism. What does white supremacy do when it's finished with its tools? It breaks them. That's what they do. They break them.
Extremes of racism. That was their lives. And lots of people have been offended from the communities where she's downgraded the racism against them. And, you know...
No, she's only downgraded racism against black people. Anti-black racism is the biggest, most prevalent, concerning racism that there is. I'm sorry, I live in an area full of Jewish people and I don't see any racism to them. No? I don't see a sly comment. No one's preventing them from moving anywhere. No one's preventing them from living in a certain area. No one's preventing them from having certain job opportunities. Okay? So, yeah, miss me with that. Miss me with that. You can miss me with that.
I mean, my overwhelming emotion is one of sadness. I've been around Westminster for 30 years. And in that time, the person who's had the worst racism directed against them is Dianne Abbott. Some horrendous racism, and I've seen it within the Labour Party as well as wider directed
That's
against.
What she's there for.
But this is beyond the pale in terms of the remarks. I think the apology should have been clearer. People have been offended, and you know, where's this coming from?
Designed to be,
I've just been in
exactly. Where's this coming from, Dianne? Execute Order 66. She got that on the phone. Right? You see the emergency test the other day. She's like, Execute Order 66. Okay, redheads and people in the back of the bus. Yeah, Execute Order 66. And she kicked into action.
Last week took a group from football to Auschwitz-Birkenau. And there and around the whole Holocaust, half the traveller and Jewish children, more than half in the world, spent their entire life subjugated and then been murdered. A majority of them from both communities. There were very few survivors. Children, huge numbers. The vast majority of children from those communities.
Yeah, and what I'd say is, you're talking about one incident in history. You're talking about one negative incident in history. Racism against black people is continual. It's continual. There's a continual murder of black people. Yeah? So that's what I'd say to this. Oh, you want to weigh up? Yeah, fine. I'll weigh up. That happened way back then. This is happening to us now. That's how I'd weigh that up.
Were murdered. Their entire lives spent being subjugated to the most extremes of racism. That was their lives.
It's our lives now.
And, you know, I've no idea how she's managed to dream this up.
You've no idea how she's managed to dream this up? Well, I'm not being funny. See, the thing about Dianne Abbott is she can say some truth. No, man, how she dream this up? Because it's true. But see, the thing about Dianne Abbott is, right, she's primed.
Lots of people have been. There were very.
She's primed to say stupid shit like this. She's primed to give you a little bit of truth, right, in the midst of maybe some anti-Semitism, so you can wait and go, oh, that's not important. Like, do you see now? Do you see now? Are you still on poor Dianne, poor Dianne? The MP with Stoke Newton Police Station on her patch. How dumb are you going to continue to be? Labour's no place for black people anymore. Hasn't been. No, Labour is no place for the black voter. It hasn't been, right? They've been using our own people to run interference against us, going all the way back to Dianne Abbott and Paul Boateng breaking away from black Labour and assimilating. Going all the way back to then. I knew the fix was in from way back then. Yeah. I mean, this lady here was primarily responsible for scuppering Jeremy Corbyn's campaign. I think she thinks she's going to be a baroness. I think that's what they promised her. That's the only reason why. That's the only reason. She thinks she's in for some lineage. But anyway, tell me what you think. Yeah, I've been away for a bit because I got banned for like 3-4 months. I got a 4-month ban. And I've been on Twitch. You find me, Catcher Friedman, on Twitch on a daily basis. But debate the cause here, I told you over a decade ago about this woman. I said Dianne Abbott, Klan Activity. And it's on the same channel. It's on this channel. I'll call it Dianne Abbott, Klan Activity. Tell me what I was saying a decade ago and tell me if I'm lying. Anyway, peace out.
I am the king and will not be. I am the king and will not.